Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Wife for Life with none other than your favorite marriage specialist, Michelle McElroy. And y'all ain't ready. Y'all are not ready because today I have none other than the lady Jamell Meeks. Yay! Woo! I'm so excited to have you, Lady Jamell. You have no idea. How are you?
I am great, and I'm so excited to be here with you with your fabulousness. Come on, girl.
I
Love
appreciate
it.
it. Well, thank you. I'm just trying to be like you when I grow
Whoop,
up.
whoop, whoop.
That's all. So, listen, I have got the chance, I've had the chance, you guys, to be under this woman's wisdom and tutelage, advice. I mean, like, she gives all the things. She leads us in a mighty way, and us being wives that are in the ministry space. So, I'm so excited to share her with you guys. Now, I know some things about you, Lady Jamell, because I spent some time with you in different, arenas. But for those who don't know you, which is you in Chicago and you don't know her, you are missing out. But for those who don't know you, why don't you share a little bit about yourself?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, again, I'm excited and happy to be here today. And I don't know, when I get that question, I'm always thrown like, okay, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? I can tell you two things. I am a professional traveler. What
Mm,
does that mean? Not just getting on and off a plane, but I am a life traveler. I believe that life is a journey. And wherever you're going in your life, it's the journey that counts, not the destination. And
mm.
sometimes we put a destination in front of us and we miss the entire journey. The joy is in the journey. So I'm on a journey. I've been on a journey since, we're talking about wife. I was married in 1979.
Wow.
And so I've been on this journey a little while, and some places have been desert, and some places have been flourishing gardens. And but it's been a great journey. Wife, of course, mother, 4 kids, adults. Woo!
Ooh, I love
Most
that.
of you who hanging in there, hold on, it's coming. I promise. Grandmother now, I get to love them and spoil them and send them back.
Mm.
So I have 4 adult children and 5 grandchildren and one on the way.
Wow, I love that. So, man, over 40 years married.
Hmm.
That's what I'm talking about. So, what is this? 26 and 3 years. You guys will celebrate 50 years.
We will.
Oh, that is so
Uh,
awesome. Man, I'm serious when I say I want to be like you when I grow up. That's the goal. To me, that's the ultimate goal. We have all these other type of goals in life,
mhm.
career-wise and things like that. But to commit, stay committed, and stay in a loving, healthy marital relationship for 50 plus years, that says something about you.
Yeah, it's the grace of God. I certainly didn't cross every T and I did not dot every I, but
Amen.
where I fell short, God stepped in.
Mm,
Which means he was always there because I was always saying, in a sense, and being able to realize I would miss the mark and just depend on him. Every time, did I always immediately depend on him? Absolutely not. Did I
mm.
have some days where I thought I could fix it? More days than I care to admit,
Yeah.
but he's always been there.
Amen. So tell us about your backstory. Like, when did you guys meet? Where did you guys meet? Tell us the love story. I always like to get the love story.
It's a West Side Story. The movie, this the West Side
Oh,
with the one
yes.
group, the Jets, and the other group, and they were, rivals. So
Uh-huh.
I'm from Chicago. My husband's from Chicago, born and raised. He's a South Sider. I'm a West Sider. So already opposites. The West
Uh-huh.
Side and the South Side was kind of like, see y'all over there and we over here.
Yep.
So that was already, we were a odd couple.
Mm.
But my very best friend in high school lived 2 doors from me. Her parents brought me to church with them. I was 16 years old. Wasn't going to church. Nothing was up in the family. Mom, dad, my brother. We just on Sundays, my mother cooked a big Sunday dinner. We hung around. Dad read the newspaper. We ate this big fabulous dinner laid in front of the TV. That was our Sunday. It was chill time.
Yeah.
So they brought me to church with them. And the first person my best friend introduced me to was my husband. I
What?
was 16 years old, walked into the Shiloh Baptist Church on the south side of Chicago, and she had been there, and she said, I want you to meet my friend. And now I will say this for disclosure.
Mm.
I don't know if this was a friend that she was kind of thinking about because we were the same age and all of that, but I don't know. But anyway, she introduced us.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, was this a setup or what? But we don't know.
Sometimes you don't need a whole lot of questions. You just say hi and keep it moving.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of
Seriously.
what I did, but it was providential. It was God because there was no way we were going to meet outside of us meeting at church and in that way. So
Mm.
God did that.
I love that story. Your story mirrors mine in an interesting way. Only I'm the South Sider and raised the West Sider.
I
But
like
we
him already.
huh? You like it
I like him
already?
already.
And we met in church down on campus. Now, from meeting at 16 in church, how did the relationship progress?
It was very crazy and different because we were polar opposites. We didn't go to church. He was practically born in the church. His dad was the deacon of the church, the one with all the keys, the one who opened the doors and shut the doors. His mother was a deaconess. She served the communion. She did all that, wore her white on first Sundays. Totally opposite in my house. Nobody was going to church.
Wow.
And so I didn't have a lot of church etiquette and church understanding or anything like that. And so it was a little bit of a strain. He knew everything and I didn't know anything. I always say God has a great sense of humor because he would say church stuff and I would be like, what are you talking about?
Right.
I just didn't understand it, which
Mm.
turned out to be great in ministry because it helped him to understand non-church people,
Yeah.
and he would have to break it down because he would know, I would have those questions, and it helped him to keep his edge. But I didn't know anything. He was my very first boyfriend, the very first boy I ever gave my phone number to. And so I have that is one of the uniqueness as well in our relationship.
Man, that is amazing. I wish, like I really wish that, and my hope is that I would have appreciated him the same, if my husband was my first everything. But man, I thought about that this morning because I thought I remembered you telling me that
Mhm.
before. And I was like, man, that's the epitome of a true love story. So you guys dated for how long and what age did you guys get married?
I was 22. He
Mhm.
was 23 soon as I graduated um, from college. So he went away to college to the historical Bishop College in Dallas, Texas, where all the preachers were going to school.
Mhm.
And I was in Chicago. I was going to Circle Campus, showing my age. It used to be called Circle Campus. And my mom said to me, if you all are going to make it, you're going to have to go there because you all are not going to make it long distance. Now, I'm totally shocked that she said that, but she was, kind of getting a hint that I was serious, but she was also getting a hint that, he wasn't there. And, fellas are like, hey, ain't nobody around here. So she was like, if this gonna work, y'all gonna have to be together to see if you all can work. So I then transferred to Bishop in Texas, and we finished college together. He started grad school in Fort Worth,
Oh.
and then while I finished, while he was there, he was called to pastor in Chicago. So
Mm.
he came to Chicago and I was still there. I finished early in December, came home, we got married on Christmas Day.
Really? On Christmas Day. Oh,
Christmas Day.
How symbolic.
Girl. He has this running joke. He always says that so he would never forget his wedding anniversary. But it's our most favorite, both of our favorite holiday. We love Christmas. Everybody was home, all our family and friends, and it was like, this is the best time for us.
Yeah. So you guys have pretty much been in ministry together as long as you've been married.
Pretty much. When I will say, when I started dating him, he was not preaching. He was 17 years old. I was 16. So it was a typical, I thought,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't have anything to base anything on. So I'm just like in it. But he told me that he was called to ministry
Mm.
on a date. Um, as I said, my family didn't go to church. And when he would come to pick me up, my mother would have me ready at the front door to push me on out so he didn't come in to, the rigmarole at my house.
Yeah.
And so we go out, we go to the drive-in. I'm super excited. We're at the drive-in theater, and Grease was the movie.
Yes.
So I'm watching it. It's like, okay, this is good. This setting up a whole deal, right? I
Hmm.
look over at him and tears are streaming down his face. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? I'm 16 years old. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So he looks over at me. He says, I have something to tell you. Now I'm really scared.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay. And he says, I've been called to preach. And I'm like, what does that mean?
Right.
I have no idea. All the preachers I know are old men who are going, with that. I knew no 17-year-old preachers. So
Right.
my mind immediately goes, what is this?
Yeah.
So, I start thinking about relationship, whether or not we could still be dating. I'm like, what does this mean for me? And I'm not thinking about him.
Yeah.
So we got through that and talked it out, and he preached his first sermon, went away to school, and God has been growing us ever since.
Man, I'm curious what in the movie Grease happened that caused him to have that thought. If
He
anything, but
he
Grease.
had been wrestling with telling me, and
Yeah.
of course he had been wrestling with
Oh.
accepting the call. So he had accepted the call in his heart and knew that God was, had called him for this.
Mm.
And he had told our pastor, and then he wanted to tell me.
Yeah.
And so that's that's what he was doing at that time. It had nothing to do with the movie, no doubt.
Right.
I'm all into the, they dancing and singing girlfriend, boyfriend stuff. I'm like, great setup, right? All
Yeah.
I wanted to know was, this mean we couldn't kiss anymore? What does this mean?
You're right. Give me the
I'm
details.
16. I can't help it.
Help me
But
understand.
help me understand. I didn't know if I was gonna have to go into long dresses. I mean, I just did not know.
Yeah.
And
Valid question.
so it was a lot was swirling around in my uninformed head,
Yeah.
but God brought us through.
Yeah. So initially, when you guys married, though, like once you graduated, you knew then, right, that this is what it is. And so my question for you is this: is that something that you readily accepted, or were you hesitant? Did you feel like, ooh, I didn't sign up to be married to a pastor? What were your thoughts? What was going through your head?
I definitely didn't. First of all, I had time to think about
Mm.
whether or not this is what I wanted or not. He was called to pastor, and he started pastoring in September. October, November, December is when we got married. And so there was no runway. It
Yeah.
was like a helicopter straight up into the fray. So I
Yeah.
didn't have a long preparatory time. I didn't know ministry. So I
Mm.
had no idea of the ups and the downs and what it was going to entail. All I knew is this was the person that had my heart, and this is the person that I wanted to spend my life with.
Mhm.
That part I kind of understood. But at 22, you don't even know what that means in a sense.
Yeah.
So everything was fast. We got married fast, kids fast, ministry came fast, the growing of the ministry came fast, and I was holding on, for dear life, trying to hit all the marks that I thought I had to hit,
Mm,
being a pastor's wife, not having anything in front of me that had me prepared for it. It's
right.
like sewing a dress without a pattern.
Mm,
And so I did, I had to do a lot of ripping up a stitch and redoing
yeah.
and figuring things out.
Now, how did that impact the relationship? Because I remember, so I didn't grow up in church either. Now, I did have a relationship with God because my mother used to have the daily word in the house, and I would read that and I would pray. Because it was just rough. Let's just say that growing up, it was a lot of different things going on. And so I remember in college is where I got saved. And when Ray and I were early in marriage, what I did not know is the rituals or the religious habits, right? Those things that were important to whatever congregation you joined. And so I just remember sometimes I knew that was difficult for Ray. I was like a thorn in his side because I needed evidence. I was like, well, why do we have to do this? Where is that in the scripture? And I remember even his mom would get so upset because she felt like I was against the grain and against the norm. But I needed understanding of that. How did that show up in your relationship, those differences of being raised in the church and not being raised in the church?
So he knew, the things and how things worked and how things operated. And then the first church was an old church
Mm.
that we were called to. And
Ooh.
so it was like, he always would say the church was 100 years old and founding members were still there. And so it was that. And it's what we used to call a silk stocking church.
Mm.
Back in the day, black churches were kind of divided. And a black church that was called a silk stocking church
Mm.
would be a church where the women could afford silk stockings.
Oh,
And
okay.
these were black people who had gone to school and that kind of deal. So
Mm.
it was a silk stocking church.
Gotcha.
And so we both were hood kids. And so it was a little different for us. So
Yeah.
I'm a hood kid without any church background.
Mm.
He's a hood kid. He grew up in Inglewood with
Oh.
a staunch church background, but
Mhm.
we both still was, hood kids in essence. So I always tell wives the first 5 years of my marriage, I just cried all the time, trying to figure out marriage, trying to figure out church, trying to live up to standards that I let people put on me.
Mm.
He never put them on me, but I just felt obligated to be this perfect wife. I
Right.
felt obligated to be this perfect example.
Mm.
And in the meantime, I'm still trying to navigate how learning how to keep a home, learning how to take care of a baby, learning how to be a wife to a man in ministry. I had
Mm.
graduated from college, I had a degree, I didn't work. And we were like struggling. That was a decision. One of the few times we actually sat down and made a decision was
Yeah.
for me to stay home.
Mm.
And I would have these outside voices, including my mother, who would say, why did I send you to college if all you were going to do was be at home and
Yeah.
have babies? And, well, you could do that without a college degree. And I felt guilty about that. I didn't know if then I should be out. Then I would meet women in the congregation and, we'd have conversations. They were working and I was an at home mom and they would give me a little shade
Mm.
about that. And so I was struggling on a lot of fronts. And I think that's what birthed in me the idea that I wanted to be a support to wives. I
Mhm.
wanted to, that's where the idea, I didn't have a place. So
Mm.
that wasn't a safe place for me. I didn't want to be, my mom wouldn't understand at all. And basically she was on the other side anyway. I need to do this, I need to do that.
Mhm.
There wasn't a pastor's wife in my age group. Nobody was 22. And then I wasn't exposed to a lot of different pastors' wives. They were older and they needed me. They wanted me to come up to that standard and the way they were doing things as well when
Mm.
I would meet them. And so I kind of felt a little isolated.
Mm.
That's one of the first things that I think hurts a woman when she first gets married is the feeling of isolation. Because when you get married, and if all of your friends are single, then there's a bit of isolation that starts because you're no longer in the same space as they're in.
Yeah.
And so you have to learn how to navigate still living in two spaces, so to speak. And so it was a lot of that for me in the beginning.
Yeah. I love what you're saying there. Oftentimes, in fact, when I talk to my clients, we talk about your circle,
Yes.
and many people think of it as their sphere of influence, and it can be that, but it's also a space where you can get fed as well, where you can get supported and loved and affirmed. So when you think about that time and now, what advice, how would we even choose our circle? Because that space, especially in ministry, it's not just sacred, but you have to be careful. This is a high visibility role, and you got a lot of eyes watching, and I'm sure for a lot of us, we don't even know who to trust. So how do we create that circle for ourselves? What would your suggestions be?
Well, one thing for sure is the scripture talks about not laying hands on no man quickly. So you don't meet somebody and you just tell your whole life and you like, this is my best friend from, the womb. You don't even know the person yet. So you try to be in a group. You look at a group of women. You look at a woman that you may say, she's not perfect, but I like her spirituality. I like that, when I hear her pray, it always blesses me. Or you're not looking for everything in one person.
Yeah.
I remember when I was struggling with my prayer time and with my prayer life period. There was a pastor. She was a woman pastor in North Carolina.
Mm,
Nancy Wilson is her name. She's in heaven now. And I called her and I said, I'm really struggling
mm,
with prayer, and I wonder if you would mentor me, if you would help me. And she said 6 o'clock in the morning. I was like, oh, we gonna pray. And she became that for me.
yeah.
I didn't want to be a pastor, but I wanted that relationship that she had and with her prayer time
Mhm,
with God. And I learned that from her.
mm,
My home pastor's wife was very spiritual. She liked to do things that made you think in a spiritual way. So I
mm,
kind of looked at her in that way. So you're not going to get everything in one person. So you
mm,
have to be open for that. You need to look for older women, and also need to look for women that are near your age. Now, you don't want to totally be with your age group because y'all don't know anything together.
yeah. That's the truth.
So you need some wisdom, in your life, and just take your time, and just you'll know. And just like Jonathan and David, God will knit your hearts together, and you'll find that circle and that group that you want to be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah, wisdom, man. I just remember spending time around my grandmother and catching wisdom. It
Yeah,
it wasn't always intentional, but just
right.
witnessing her life, even now, I still find myself mimicking what
Yes.
she displayed, when I
Yes.
was around. So yeah, I love wisdom, and I hope all of us learn to love wisdom. And as you said, that's even biblical, that we should be open and willing to learn from our elders, and our elders should be open and willing to teach us. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, I love that. I also think about in ministry, all the different dynamics that you're dealing with in trying to serve others, but then you have your own issues within your own relationship. How do you navigate that? Like, do you guys have a formula, you and Pastor Meeks, on how you deal with your own conflict within each other? I hear some people say don't go to bed, angry and stuff like
I
that, but
found that very difficult, so I don't know. I don't think I lived up to that all the time.
Me, me either.
But I did the best I could.
Right.
I have two basic things that I believe,
Mm,
which I've learned over the course of the years. The first thing is there's no such thing as balance.
mm,
People ask, usually that's the first question I get. Thrive in ministry. My husband was a state senator. He was the chairman of the state board of education. So I've navigated ministry life, personal life. It's four of them, his siblings, his mom and dad. That family dynamic. I dealt with our family, with our family life. So it's a lot of dynamics in a lot of different areas you
yeah.
walking in and out of, and each of them requires something different from you. So I don't look for balance means you're going to always be even. You're not. It's more of juggling to me. A juggler is an expert, is
Mm,
a person who can handle a lot of different things at the same time. When you juggle and you throwing the things up in the air, say you got five things, only two are in your hand, the other three are in the air. So for me, sometimes ministry was going real great and he was handling his business. I just had to do dart in, dart out, do what I needed to do. That was in the air. The kids were in my hand, they were little, and I had to have my hand on them.
mhm,
My personal self, my marriage, I had to have my hand on that. Ministry, family, outside family, those kind of things. I had my eyes on it.
mhm,
And then when things were happening, say ministry was going in a new direction, we started a ministry. So the church was being born. So I had to put something else in the air and that needed to be in my hand. But
yeah.
my eyes were always on what was in the air. So whenever something in the air needed that dynamic with my hand directly on it,
Mhm,
had the option to take it and to deal with it. And to me, that settled me after I stopped trying to have balance. You
yeah.
cannot say 10% to church, 10% to family, 10% to marriage, and then you're going to get a 100% pie. It
Mm,
never works that way. Sometimes your marriage need 100%, and
amen.
you got to dig in. And so I live by that. The other
Yeah.
thing for me is I had to learn to find myself. After a while, I had started to lose Jamell, the things that I loved, the things that made me uniquely me, because I was fulfilling all these roles.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole decade of the 80s, I was pregnant. It's just like I was either having a baby, just had a baby, or,
Yeah.
whatever. So I was just pregnant the whole decade of the 80s. So I spent a whole lot of time, changing diapers and wiping noses and doing all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so that took a lot. That's also the period of time that we birthed the church.
Mm,
And so that baby was born as well, which was taking a whole lot. And we were in our late 20s, early 30s, which means we were changing as well as a couple. And so a lot was going on in there. So I'm fulfilling all of these different obligations. And then I had to step back and say, don't lose Jamell in the midst of this. My husband married Jamell. He needed me to still be me.
yeah.
My kids needed me to be me because I was their mother, and they needed to know me for me.
Yeah.
And then my family, I needed to be able to move in and out and for them to know me. And then I needed to be authentic at church. The young women in the church didn't need to see a fake person.
Mhm,
The even the older women in the church didn't need to see a fake person. They needed to see somebody who, I've gone to church and had different shoes on before, or this earring didn't match that earring, and it was just, I barely made it in the door, that kind of deal, and I had to be okay
yeah.
being flawed, and I think that helped me a lot.
Yeah. How do you do that though? That was going to be my next question. You know, just being a wife and a mother is very consuming, but then on top of that, to have this baby that's called ministry, that's also a part of your life. How do you maintain self or not lose self altogether? especially when your children are really young and they're so dependent on you.
Yeah.
What
I
suggestions?
didn't do anything in the beginning at church. I didn't lead women's ministries. I didn't, when we first started pastoring, I did not. I took care of home and I made sure that everybody was, I mean, we were all growing and it was all new to us. And so they couldn't have me saying somebody needed to take care of them while I went to a meeting at church and they're 5 months old, a year old, that kind of stuff. I couldn't do that. And then when he needed, I was the confidant. I was the person that he could come home to and share if this was going on or that was going on, and I needed to have a neutral ear
Mm-hmm.
and I needed to be available for him. And so I needed to not be actively involved in the first, I would say, probably the first maybe 5 years. I didn't head anything. I didn't do women's ministries. I didn't. My favorite and first love was teen girls, and that was the first thing I did when I did start ministry. I taught Sunday school. I've a lot of things, but I tried to wait on the nudging of the spirit and not the pushing of the people.
Ooh, nice. Say that again.
Yeah, it's different when the spirit is nudging you to do something, then you can do it in confidence and you
Mm-hmm.
can do it with the spirit telling you what to do, leading you and making sure you're doing it right or the way you need to. When
Yeah.
the people are pushing you, you're busy trying to catch what they want you to do. You're busy trying to be what they want you to be, and it
Mm,
always falls through. And so, spirit nudging you doesn't mean it's gonna be perfect because the spirit has nudged me into some ugly situations.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
some things was like, Lord, are you sure? But because
What
we
does that
grow, we
mean?
grow from that, and we
Yeah.
can't be afraid to grow, and we can't be
Yeah.
afraid to. That's one of the first hardest things that I had to learn is that I didn't have to be perfect. I thought I had
Whew,
to be perfect, and that was wearing me out.
it still wears me out. But I get it. I understand. I feel like I had the pleasure of being an at-home mom too. And I'll be honest, even when I tried to go back to work, I just didn't have the bandwidth to do that and be a mother of four children at the
Mhm.
same time. And so, I had the pleasure of being an at-home mom with my kids for the most part. For the first three, they were stepping stones, and then we had another one 5 years later. But with the first three, pretty much through till until they went to college. um and so I found it difficult to then transition into what God was calling me to do, as a woman, and um, create those boundaries. To me, it was very easy to create boundaries with people outside the home. It was the boundaries with the people inside the home that I struggle with. And the reason why is because I thought, this goes into that mindset of perfection, that it would make me a bad wife or a bad mother to have moments where I say, well, no, I can't do that right now. I need to
Right.
do this
Yeah.
task that I feel like God has called me to. Did you ever have those moments where you felt that?
Always. And then I would steal the time, if when the kids went away to school, and then maybe, I would take a couple of hours. I love reading.
Mhm.
And I would try to, sneak some time in and read. I love dance. And so I would put on some music and just, have some free movement just to get myself back into me and
Mhm.
who I am and who I wanted to be. People always had remedies for me. Oh, you should do a spa day. Well, at that time in my life, the last thing I wanted was a spa day. It just I just didn't feel it, and I used to feel guilty. They would be like, "Go get a massage. I'm gonna give you this," and I would be like, "It's such a waste." Now I'll take a spa day. But at the time I didn't. And so that's kind of learning what I needed. I would try to think of the things that gave me life. When I finished it and I felt gassed, I felt excited, I felt alive, then I wanted to do more of that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I found my space with pastors' wives. Every time I had an opportunity to mentor, to share, to do some things with them, I just felt like, oh, and I would just feel filled up and by pouring out.
Mm,
And so that's when I started to learn what that is. I mean, that's so churchy. And I wasn't churchy. So figuring that part out, my husband pushed me for women's ministry. I didn't want to do it. He was like, "Well, you got to do it." And I was like, "No, I don't. We don't need let the women go to church, hear the word, go to Sunday school. What more do they need?" Well, I didn't grow up with a sister. I had a brother. So I
mm,
didn't understand that female dynamic a lot.
yeah.
And so I wasn't getting it. And then all the societal things
Mhm,
had
mhm.
hit me. Don't trust a woman. This about a woman. It's always a competition. And all of those things were somewhere still in my sanctified, saved mind, but still that world part was in there.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the woman dynamic. But boy, when I got involved in it and I started working in it, I found my love. And working with women, walking alongside them, helping them navigate through all of these different things and times in life has been a blessing for me.
Awesome. And not to mention women at the cross. Ooh, that's always a blessing. Always.
I, and it is the um me and my assistant were talking at that time, and it was coming up to Easter and stuff, and I was saying to her, women need something, and we need a time as we prepare, because we're doing everything. We getting the Easter food together, the menu, what's going to happen with that. If you got kids, you're figuring out their stuff, clothes, speeches, dyeing eggs, all of the things that go, and it's always preparing other things. And I almost felt the Mary and Martha situation.
Yeah.
And I said to her, um, what if we had something and just women spoke?
Mm,
And we had it on Good Friday early enough so then the women could go back and finish what they needed to do Friday evening. They still had Saturday. And we did it during the hours that Jesus was actually on the cross.
yeah.
And that's what we did. So we gathered to come together for that time where we could put aside who got a hair appointment, who got this, all of the stuff that need to be done in preparation for Easter,
Mm,
but to get a moment for our hearts
yeah.
to join together. And so nobody was doing it at that time. There wasn't one at all. And
Mhm.
now it's really a little more out there and acceptable. But at that time, it was like, you gonna do what? You gonna have only women? Yeah. They gonna do what? We're gonna have a service. We're gonna come together on Good Friday. Women ain't got time. It's okay. Don't worry about it. And God blessed it.
Yes, it's always been an enriching time, an encouraging time just to see these dynamic women present God's word in their own unique way. Man, I mean, you can't leave there without being filled up, without being touched, at least by one woman.
I know, it's exciting. And that was the key too. I wanted different styles.
Hmm.
Women who were more podium minded, they were going to stand and they had a solid word. Women who were very dynamic, women who were very artistic and was going to do a different kind of way to minister. Because I wanted young women also to know you can go into ministry and you don't have to be this certain cutout. Your gift, there's room for you
Yeah.
with your gift, and the body needs it. And so that definitely was intentional.
Oh, and it came across. It
Mm.
definitely came across. Speaking of intentional,
Uh-oh.
yes, thank you for the segue. Speaking of intentional, I feel like a lot of couples struggle because they don't understand their role and their purpose in the marital unit. And so when you don't even have an understanding of your role as a wife, as a woman, and all that God created and gifted you to be in that space,
Mm,
it's difficult to be intentional about it. And so I mean, you have seen some years of wifehood, and it has changed. Culture has changed. The ideal of marriage has changed. The women that are getting married and being married have changed. The idea of divorce has changed. Like I just think about back in the day, that was like darn near forbidden. Whereas now, quick, fast, in a hurry if I don't like what you're giving.
right.
So since you've seen decades of marriage and wifehood, what have you seen happen and change, and what, if anything, would you like to see come back to the spirit of wifehood and the understanding of our role in
Yeah.
the marital relationship?
I think I think there's two things that probably would be life changing in marital situations right now. Number one is patience, because we're quick to say you did that, you was wrong for that, and you got to pay for that. And we're quick to, I don't take nothing. I'm this big strong woman, and you're not gonna get away with, that kind of deal. So I think we don't have as much patience. I also feel like women today are more into, well, I'm a strong, independent woman. I work a job. I bring home, the paycheck too. And I think that with this marriage ought to be 50-50. There's no such thing as a 50-50. Both people need to be given 100.
Come on.
And so if you only given 50, you already falling short.
Mhm.
And so I think the idea of a 50-50 relationship or partnership is a little misconstrued. It doesn't really happen that way. There are going to be some days when I'm giving 200%, because that's the season we're in. I
Yeah.
think not understanding seasons, where we were when the kids were little, that's not the season we in now. I think not preparing for the next season
Mm.
is a big mistake that we make. While we're married and young and the kids are little, we need to be preparing for the next season. We need to be preparing for when they're not going to be here. We would always say they're going to grow up and leave us.
Yep.
And we wanted to not look across the table and not know that other person,
Yeah.
because if the only thing we talk about are the kids, the only thing we deal with is what's going on with them, and we don't share ourselves anymore,
Mhm.
then we won't know each other once they go away, and they will go away.
Yeah.
And that time is going to come. We did marriage conferences, where we got tools and where we would work on our marriage. Nobody knows how to be married.
Yeah.
Nobody has a perfect example in front of them. If your parents were married your whole life and you saw a marriage, fantastic. But still, that doesn't mean because what you bring is unique and what your partner brings is unique. And
Mhm.
everything that they say and do is going to be colored through the lens of how they grew up and
Yeah.
their hurts and what they went through. And so if I'm busy thinking they're looking through the same lens that I'm looking through and they know better, I'm missing the point because they don't. So learning, growing, always doing conferences, having this kind of situation where you can talk and understand that it's a journey. It's
Mhm.
not going to be easy. It's the kind of thing that'll help you through it. Realizing that what you needed in this season is not what you're going to need in the next season, and being prepared is like the virtuous woman when this Bible says her family wasn't cold because she prepared for the winter and
Mm.
the coats were ready, and she got that together. She didn't wait until January 1
Right.
and then looking for the coat. So it's the same thing for us in our marriages. You go into different seasons and get you a good book, The Power of a Praying Wife.
Ooh, love it.
Things that will help you to grow and enhance who you are as a woman and who you are as a wife. And don't worry about him. Let God take care of that. Well, if I'm reading, why ain't he reading? I'm praying, why ain't he praying? Don't worry about him. It
Yeah.
ain't your job to fix
Woo.
him. That's God's job. I
Amen.
stop trying to get in the middle of that and I let God work on him. God did a whole better job than I could.
Mm.
Because God working on him, God working on me, then everybody getting worked on. Then we okay.
Amen. No, man, stop getting on me during my podcast. Seriously, I think sometimes we try to pick up control
Yeah.
unconsciously.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, if you go left, you're gonna fall off the cliff. Let me tell you, you don't have to go left. Don't go left. And I find that in myself. And I also think having that perfectionist spirit kind of sets you up
It
too to
does.
try to control. But I also think in this current culture, especially Black women, they're saying studies show that we are the most educated demographic in the country.
Yeah.
And so now you have a bunch of women that have worked toward their goals and are achieving their goals in life. Whereas back in the day, it was like you were dependent on a man to help you get to where you wanted to be in life. And so I always talk about this. I love having this conversation because now that we have that demographic, what do men do with those women that are in those positions? And a lot of men are struggling. And I try to tell wives this: listen, men are automatic leaders when they get married. They're automatically thrusted into the leadership role. We don't know if they had some training. We don't know if they had that mimic before them in their childhood, or if they had a mentor or some living example. We just don't know what their skill set is. We just know whatever we saw, it interested us enough to marry them. And so when you talk about patience, we have to be patient as they develop those leadership skills, as well as patient with them learning how to deal with us. And the current us are leaders. So
Yeah.
now, no, not only do they have to learn how to be a leader, they have to learn how to lead a leader.
Yeah.
And that's not easy. And so, yeah, we have to have patience with them. And then I also run up against the wall of women feeling like I shouldn't have to teach him. Well, you're a unique individual, and so is he. And so, absolutely, you may have to say, hey, I don't like my eggs scrambled hard. I like them scrambled light. And I know that's a fluff and stuff example, but the point is, it's okay. It's the spirit behind giving the instruction that can
Well,
mess it up.
the fact that he's scrambling your eggs, well, let's just take that as a win, okay?
Come on. Come on. We could figure out how we could get better on the how later.
All of it is a blessing. I just feel like sometimes uh, we're quick to judge and not quick to try to understand.
Yeah.
I think sometimes one of the problems in marriages and with men that happens for us ladies is that we're used to our girlfriends and we're used to our sisters and we used to that, and we want to talk to him the same way. And
Mm.
men don't speak that. And so when we going into all of our, way we want to talk about something and the details and all this stuff that we want to do, and he flipping the channels and we like, I'm talking to you, but you've been talking for an hour.
It's too long. It's too much.
It's too much. And so we just have to, give that break. And women who say, well, that's me. I don't need all that. And he be talking to me for an hour. Well, stop trying to put everything in a total box. Get what you can. Eat the watermelon and spit the seeds out.
Right.
And so when you're hearing something, when somebody is like a conversation that we're having, the part that fits for you, the part that you get and you understand, oh, I get that. This whole conversation, maybe juggling was you. This whole conversation, maybe learning how to still connect with who you really are, taking those few minutes. It may be 30 minutes in the day when you put the kids down. It may be, after everybody's gone to bed. You may get those 15 minutes for what it is that helps you to connect to you.
Right.
Whatever it is you're getting from here, the understanding of where one person is in their life. They may have grown up in a single family home and they don't understand the dynamic. They don't know how to work through a situation. They don't know how to have a partner in the sense of you don't just make a decision and the other person don't know anything. I've had wives who didn't understand how the husband was upset when he came home. It was a new car in the in the driveway. She like, well, I don't understand. It was my money. I worked. I needed a new car. I just went and I picked my new car. Well, that's what her mom did
Yeah.
because she was a single mom, and when she wanted a car, she would just went and got a car. She didn't have to talk it over or have a discussion about it. You weren't getting permission
Mm.
necessarily, and that we get that resentment. I don't need nobody's permission. I work every day. And so we have to be careful.
Yeah.
And when we're gaining things and getting things that this is unique to my situation, this is what I need for right now. Maybe I'll need that later on, or that's something that I can tuck away and it may come back up to me another day. But right now, this is it. And not try to make everything. Okay, you just gorge on every little thing. All
Yeah.
of it's not going to be for you.
Right. Right. Oh, and in the spirit of that, two more questions and then we're gonna wrap up. Um, I wrote this article in the Women Who Empower Chronicle. It's called Embracing Your Differences and
Mm.
recognizing those as from a teamwork mindset. I see that God has given my husband certain gifts and he's given me certain gifts. And being married to an athlete is very easy to get in that rut where you're either comparing or you're competing, well, I do that better. Well, I should do this, I should do that. But I would love for you to talk about what I call the importance and value of teamwork in a marriage.
Yeah, it's funny you would say it that way because we don't think about it that way. But sometimes husbands and wives are competing
Mhm,
against each other,
mhm.
and they do it with the kids. They do it with the life that they're trying to build together. They still wind up competing, and we're not supposed to compete. We're supposed to complement.
Yes.
And so when I compliment, that doesn't mean we're the same. It just means we fit together.
Mhm,
And so the thing that he may have a blind spot about, I see clearly. And the thing where I have a blind spot, he sees clearly. The problem is I'm upset because I don't know that I have a blind spot about it. And
mhm,
him telling, whatever he got to say, I don't get because I have a blind spot about it. And we don't give each other the grace to let another person have an opinion, to let another person, even though we're married, I still, I can't eat watermelon. I'm allergic to it. And my
mhm,
husband loves watermelon.
mhm.
And so I have to, I'll buy watermelon, I'll cut it and get it for him and I'll serve it to him. But I'm going to get up and move because it actually makes me nauseous.
Yeah.
But I can't ban watermelon from the house and say, well, he should understand
Mhm.
because I can't have it. And if he loved me, he wouldn't even have it in the house. That's
Yeah.
a small thing. And we get to that and we get to comparing and saying, I sacrifice more than this person is sacrificing.
Mm,
Therefore, if he really wanted to be in this marriage and he loved me, he
mm.
would sacrifice to the level that I'm sacrificing. Well, maybe he don't even know you sacrificing.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of that. I'm making a sacrifice doing whatever it may be. He don't know it's a sacrifice on my part.
Mm.
He's enjoying the sacrifice without knowing it's a sacrifice.
Right.
Sometimes we have to realize that that's what we're doing and we're wanting them to appreciate something that they don't even know that we're giving.
Mm, I love it. I love it. Yeah, every day, like God has shown me day by day how um he's just kind of shown me how Ray has been an asset, so to speak, to my life. And back in the day I may not have understood how or why. Um, but just in the way he moves, like God don't play about me, but he don't play about my husband either, because he just, even the way he moves is just faith driven, and he just automatically knows, and things come to him naturally because that's the spirit he moves in. And I used to be this shy, quiet little, I always say, I'm asking permission to be in a space, whereas he walks in and says, hey, the party can begin because I'm here. And
Yeah.
even little things like that could help you at different seasons and stages of your life. I used to look at it like, he is so rude. Like, people were in this space having conversation. He just busts in like, hey, I'm here. I used to look at him like, oh my God, you're embarrassing me. But now I look at it as, no, he is commanding the space. He is. And when he does it, he's not being rude. He's acknowledging everybody, giving everybody nicknames and doing all this stuff. And people see that as charming. They're like, oh, I just love Ray. He makes me feel so, special.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. So we have to be careful, even that spirit of judging our spouses for the very gifts that God may have given them that we can glean from. Ooh, I did a sermon.
You
I heard
said it.
like,
You
oh.
said it.
But seriously, that was one of the things that really blessed me when God started showing me, like, every day, how if I just accept him, this gift that he gave me in a husband, and not judge him, but recognize those things as strengths that I may or may not ever need or use, but they still bless my life, man, that has value to not only him as a husband, but to our marriage, and our way of relating to one another. So,
Right.
so last question.
Come on.
Only, I said only two, but we could go on now. We can. But one more, because I know people, podcasts, they want to keep it moving. But this is the thing. The title of the podcast is Wife for Life. And that's a lot of intention and meaning behind that title. But I want to know, from your perspective, it could be a word, a phrase, or a sentence, but how would you encapsulate that? What does a wife for life look like or mean to you?
That's a good question because um I look at it this way. A woman in the house is fluid.
Mhm.
She's like the Holy Spirit
Mm,
in the Trinity. She has to be able to move in and out of spaces. She has to be able to flow. She has to be able to go when she needs to be stern, and she has to be soft, and she has to be very fluid. In the Godhead, the
mhm,
wife would be the Holy Spirit. And I think if you're gonna be a wife for life, you
mhm,
gotta be fluid. You got to be able to go in tight spaces,
mhm,
and when it's only a little room for you, then there's going to be some times when you're going to fill the room.
mhm.
It's going to be yours to feel, and you have to be ready and able to do that. I think women, sometimes we feel like this is the way I am, and every time you have to be that way in every situation.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be like that in every situation. You'll have seasons, your marriage will have seasons, your life, who you are, you'll have seasons in your life where you'll change, you will evolve
Yeah.
into the person you need to be for that season. The problem is that we tend to want to be rigid and stay who we think we are, and everything else has to bow around us. But in essence, if I'm a wife and a mother and I'm in a situation in a home, I need to be a seer.
Mm,
And if I'm a seer,
yeah.
then I'll know when to shift and when to flow into this and when to flow into that. And that is spirit led. So, a wife for life is a spirit-led woman.
Yes, I love that. Man, that is so amazing because, now a lot of people talk about that soft girl energy, and Fluid is soft. It's gentle, it's loving, it's embracing, it's affirming, it's all of that. And man, we listen, if you want to get that soft girl energy, guys, this is it. This is, it's that spirit-filled woman that's fluid,
Yeah.
that is not impacted by situations and circumstances,
Yeah.
but she's flexible and she's letting the Holy Spirit lead her in every step of the way. That's what it's all about. I don't know about y'all, but I'm trying to embody that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, big sis. Thank
Yes.
you. I needed that. Um,
Yes.
and I think we all did. And I want to thank you again for coming, because I really, really, really I almost turn into a little girl when I'm around you, because I respect you so much
Yeah.
and look up to you so much. And listen, I'm trying not to cry, but I just value what you represent. Like when I think about God using me in a mighty way, I see it in you. I see how he's used you in a mighty way to touch many women. And that's what this podcast is about. That's what I feel he's called me to do. And I'm so grateful that he put a woman like you in my path. In every, I feel like you've been a part of almost at least the past, what, 2 decades of
Mhm.
my life of adulthood. And so it's just been such a blessing that even though we don't talk all the time or every day or even very frequently, but I feel like God knows just the right time to bring you into my life to say, hey, this is where you're going.
Mhm.
Listen, hang in there. This is where you're going. Listen, you can survive whatever you're going through,
Yes.
because look, the path has been laid before you. And so I really appreciate you. I honor you. And I hope that you feel all of that. I'm sure as many of us doing it. I see it every time we're at ministry mates, that women just rush to be in your presence and glean from your wisdom. And so, even with the last word that you gave at our last meeting, I don't know if I told you this on the phone, but my husband and I remember when we first met, and you would say Pastor Meeks, and so I say Pastor Ray told us, he challenged us at the church on our prayers, and our prayers not at all being about us, not at all being about asking God for something, but that we serve him through our prayers by praying
Mhm.
for others. And so when you came and then gave a word in ministry mates on prayer, it really like doubled down on what God had already started in my life through the church and Pastor Ray. And yeah, I really appreciated that. Again, I feel like you were affirming me. And then that one thing for me is this ministry like this, that God would lead and direct me in the way that he wants to use me, period.
Yeah.
And I will be honest, I wasn't sure that you would say yes. I was nervous to even ask you to be on the podcast. I was nervous. Like God wouldn't let me rest.
Mhm.
And so I said, okay, I'm just gonna go do it. And you gave me a yes so quick.
I love you.
I mean, you gave me that yes quick. When I called, you picked up that phone so quick. I was ready for your voicemail. Telling you that's how my mind works. I was like, she gonna be busy. I don't know when I'm gonna be able to get her in. And what? It's been a week and a half,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
here we are. I
And
just
here
I
we
love
are.
you so much. I love you.
I love you, and I'm so grateful to see you in this space. I know two things that people who don't do things don't know. It's a pressure that comes from stepping out. When you look at the story about the disciples in the boat, only one stepped out of the boat.
Ooh,
11 stayed in the boat.
mm,
It's so much easier to stay in the boat and to look at other people, even to cheer them on. But it's hard to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that it's difficult to put yourself out there. People feel like, oh, they want to do it, they like it, or it's about this. It ain't about the spotlight. It ain't about you liking it. I could sit back on the couch and eat potato chips all day and scroll through all these movies and Lifetime stories and stuff like that. But to say yes
Yeah.
when God nudges you to do something is different. And so I thank God for your yes and for all of the people that you will inspire, encourage, and lift up because of your yes. And then because of their yes, they will inspire. That's the ripple that
Mm,
the stone does. And when you throw it into the lake, and the ripple just goes out and out until you can't even see anymore what it's doing. And that's what you are. You're throwing yourself out there, and the ripple effect that you have, only when you get to heaven will you know. So
yeah.
I love you and I thank you for it. And I'm grateful that you put yourself out there.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. You just made my year, and it just started. So this is awesome. And thank you guys too for watching another episode of Wife for Life. Listen, my energy is on a whole nother level right now, guys. I know y'all feel it, but I just hope this also encourages you. If you are that one of 12, step out and do what God is calling you to do. It won't be easy, but it will be so rewarding spiritually. You will have such great peace. It'll challenge you in all the right ways, and even the ripple effect that Lady Jamel is talking about will even happen in your personal life. You'll
Yeah.
start being blessed over blessed because of your obedience to God. So I just want to encourage you guys, hey, if you, and you can't tell me you didn't absolutely love this episode, but I'm just going to ask you to share it, because it's more of us who need a word like this. It's more of us who need wisdom. So share it and like it and comment and subscribe. Do all the things that'll keep Wife for Life going. I love you guys and I appreciate you. And until the next episode, happy loving.